Welcome back to the channel everyone, Nova Zane on the mic. Today we'll finally be covering Janemba's pressure and mix-ups. I'll go over his solo pressure first and then his mix-ups in the later half of the video. Timestamps will be included down below in the description. Now let's get started with his normals. Janemba has some great normals with 5L at -3, 2L at 0, and 5M at -5. In the air, he can ID with the JL and JM for overheads. JH doesn't really work due to this bounce effect. You can double overhead with ID JML. You can also sneak in a slow J2M for a triple overhead if desired. 5L is alright, but brings him forward and recovers nicely. Look how quick his 5L rhythm can be when you hold back and repeats L. 5L has a unique property where it needs to be blocked like a cross-up. This can catch people off guard when used, but it can be mashed on and escaped out of. Now this can be enhanced with an assist, but it's quite slow even on hit with most assists, so you don't even get the best mix. 2L is an amazing button with range at 0 on block. This allows him to be very ambiguous and safely dash resets. I've spoken about dash blocks a lot on the channel. It's a great way to see how your opponent interacts with your pressure without really taking any risk. If they mash, you'd block, so get ready to frame trap next time. If they do anything else, this will bait their defensive options such as reflex, a chance to counter vanish, blocking reversals, etc. Implementing dash resets is amazing to add stronger mix-ups on respectful opponents. Dash DR is very hard to tech, point blank cross-ups are hard to block, and more. Speaking of cross-ups, he has great ones with IDJM and a point blank one with the JL. JL is much quicker, almost unreactable, and can be comboed with 2M. To get JL to land consistently, you need to use a dash macro with 9+ macro so it's as quick and close as possible. Then wait a bit until you land to press 2M. JL J236H is a lot easier for struggling, but is more costly and less damage. Once they can block the cross, add in some same side super dashes. The more and longer you dash in general, the more you drain their respect, so get ready to frame trap after a couple dashes. His rhythm is very even and tight. His frame traps from his L's require very small delays, whether you're frame trapping with 5LL, 2M, or 5M. Just be aware that L's into 5M is a natural frame trap, meaning it has a 1 frame gap without delaying. Be conscious of this because it's a point that's interactable. It does true string after M's though, so keep that in mind if you want to true string. His flexible frame data allows him to slow down his normals to maintain ambiguity at a slower rhythm. Slowing down your rhythm makes 2M staggerable with 5M or reset with 5L. These two tempos feel the same. A useful timing to master with a Janemba is a slightly delayed one that counters fuzzy jumps, similar to this. Fuzzy jumping is common against characters like him who have grabs. Due to his range, Janemba has great anti-reflex with 5M, 5H, 5S of course, and every 236X variation. They can all follow each other up. As a bonus, his 5L 6M anti-reflex too, since he has one of the biggest 6Ms in the game. This is a very specific situation but is plus on block. Speaking of 6M, his isn't the best situation on block since he can't really clash. He can only escape with his teleport. But being slightly plus in the corner doesn't even help him that much either, and is very hard to set up manually due to the range anyways. But it can be nice on hit just like any other character. Command grabs also reach from this over reflected distance even mid-screen. We'll talk about grabs in a bit. So alongside dash base with his great at 0 on block 2L, reflecting Janemba is a big risk and doesn't even work that well, so opponents shouldn't even have an incentive to reflect Janemba to be honest. This great range of his normals also allows him for great spaced out pressure. He can easily space himself out with 2Ls and shimmy pressure where 5L, 5M, and 2M can be used wherever to move him back and forward. This type of pressure is safer since it spaces you out of their range to mash, and gives opponents the sense that they have enough room to escape and pow, frame trap. For example, 2L5L is a great pattern to loop as 2L spaces you out and 5L brings you forward with a very tight rhythm, all while keeping the same threats from your Ls active. 2L5M loop is another great pressure pattern. Add 5L when you get too far out. This one has a constant natural frame trap with 5M. Keep that in mind as well against DPs, but some of them may whiff during this pattern. And you can switch these up with 2 and 5H frame traps whenever. Even after exhausting your frame traps, you can end your turn with 236L that spaces you out. If they try to challenge to take their turn, you can punish on reaction. Overextend with 5M. Or IDJM. Or even another 236. Overextending is more committal though in case they just jump out or challenge with medium, so be careful. 236M acts as a frame trap during pressure but doesn't push you back as far to overextend. Another overextension is with Super Dash, which can be used after a block 5H frame trap instead of 236L. After the SD, a falling jam hits them, and so does a JLL, which prevents escapes. This is much riskier than the previous one since it can be twitched on both the Super Dash and falling normal, so be careful. Janemba's 5S is very unique. Usually, 5S is a clear point in which people can engage in the Reflect mind game since it's guard cancelable. Either you frame trap 5H or reset sub-bait of Reflect for major damage. Resetting here is great even if they don't reflect since the 5H frame trap is so scary. But in Janemba's case, 5S is negative 21. While you still have the 5H frame trap and can still punish reflects if you wait, the second option is much riskier. Janemba's resets are a lot slower here, so it doesn't really encourage interaction, they can just block. And the frame trap isn't that scary. Something that's interesting is that he can delay his 5S after the first one to frame trap, but again, that doesn't encourage interaction, why would they match? Something to discourage blocking is the slightly delayed 214L for a quick grab that abuses disrespect. The noise from the key blast also makes it harder to identify. Thus, you'll be able to get some significant 5H frame traps to land out of their fear of the grab instead of them just respecting you. He can engage in his own Key Blast mind game twice in a single string using 5S, 5H frame trap, then a 6S into 236M frame trap. You can grab or bait whenever instead of frame trapping. Frame trapping the first 5S, then grabbing on the second one is a smart tactic. So it's always nice that he can do this twice in his pressure. Speaking of 6S, it can be useful in the corner as it brings them out of it. Something very sneaky is doing IAD 6S plus Super Dash. Delay and you cross up. No delay and you stay same side. It can only be used when they give enough respect to abuse it, and even then it can be countered since it's quite slow. It's much stronger in sparking. You can 6S IAD to steal the corner. This is easy to input but isn't the tightest. What's better is J6S-JL crossup. Or 9 a slight delay S while holding 9 the whole time for the same effect. If you input 9S too early, you're not able to dash out as quickly. This can be mixed in with jump JS-JL for the same side. This can be inputted as 2S-JL, which tends to be easier for the same effect. These are very tight. They both beat Super Dash, counter 2H's when done properly. Cannot be reflected since it's a left, right, etc. It's so fast when done right that it's practically a 50-50 but can be hard to accurately execute. 214L's startup is 20 frames, which makes it unreactable. 214M is slower at 26 frames but can be comboed in the corner and mid-screen for a bar. 214H is 24 frames and can be comboed everywhere. You can get into his strongest 214L right away from your L's or before using your normals. Therefore, it becomes a sort of 50-50 after every L between a grab or frame trap 2M. Fit this in with other pressure concepts we've discussed. It can be used after your other normals with delays, but slows down slightly to around 24 frames. It whiffs if you're too early. While it's a good overload to use during your pressure, its value comes from its potential threats of being used. After grabbing someone and putting them in a 2-touch level 3 mix situation, people will become afraid of the grab. As a result, they'll hesitate to just respect to block it out and will want to wiggle out. Seeing the grab once, opponents may start to fuzzy jump more often, in which slower frame traps will land for bigger damage. It's also great to use it after 5S as explored previously, since it gives them a very clear cue to interact with. Then you'll find your frame traps landing more often due to their fear of the grab, especially if you have meter and they lack health. What's unique about this grab is their ranges. Janemba can use them to land even after getting reflected away. He's able to use them during his spaced out strings, which further encourages escapes when opponents see distance, giving you more opportunities to frame trap. And at this further distance, most people don't even expect an unblockable. While the M and H versions are better to use during these spaced out strings, just be aware that the EX marker makes it easier to identify his EX grab. The slower speed could be worth it, but the L version should be your main grab. There are 4 main types of teleport mix-ups. The first one is a grounded regular left or right mix. During your string, call an assist, then input 236S. 236S3 to stay same side. 236S6 to cross up. The timing depends on your assist and their pushback. If they push them far, it's better to do this mix earlier on when you're close, or else you might not be able to cross up. If they hold him steady, call the assist after squeezing yourself out, such as after 5M to get the same side. It's easier to time them in the corner, just use 236S2 for the same side option. This can be done with 25 frames of block set. If you time your assist plus teleport properly, there should only be a very small gap between the assist and hits to avoid cross-up protection. So it shouldn't true string. Set them to guard all and counter vanish. If they block, you call the assist too late. If they vanish, you called it too early. If you get the hit, you got the perfect time. You can still keep it tight with 2M for more reward, but it's more reactable than a quicker 2L or 5L after appearing. This isn't a 50-50 because they can look at their own character and see which way they move to know where to block. This can be countered with more blocks by calling these assists earlier and can be covered by noise from some other assists. So it's still a strong mix-up since it's pretty tight. You can advance this mix-up by using the reactions if they're good, appear on one side and then cross back. When they see Janemba appear, they'll block on that side and be sort of relieved for noticing in time, so they'll let their guard down. Then you can ID back, double teleport by holding S and another direction right when you appear, and even sneak in grabs. This is a form of abusing the respect, so remember to stick to the tight mix-ups to prevent them from escaping the more fake options. Something similar is with IAD. It's done with IAD JM plus assist into 236S. You can appear on 3 sides, 236S6 for a high JL. This stays same side in the corner. 2 for a low 2M same side. 3 for a cross of 2M. Keep the same principles as before in mind. This is much stronger since you get more options, but it's harder to set up since the IAD is a risk. You can set this up with Super Dash plus assist into the same teleport options too, calling the assist to cover the teleport after the Super Dash. Although this one has gaps as well. Now comes his 2 50-50 setups. For his float mix, use your assist and teleport up forward with 236S9. Then hold up in a direction to float to the side you want and hit them with a falling JL. Hold 9 to float same side. Hold 7 to float crossing. This works with 35 frames of block stun, but you need to be very close to them. Pushback will prevent the cross. Timing should have a small gap. It's a very strong and ambiguous 50-50. And the last tight mix-up is with an air dash. By teleporting up forward again, your mix-up is between an early air dash JL to cross and slightly delayed air dash. You need at least 42 frames of blocks, and apparently comboing cross-up JL with 236H is more consistent because trying to combo from this height can be difficult. These last two are great 50-50 setups if your assist allows it. Janemba has some orb setups as well, like with 2S plus assist into J214H, Super Dash plus assist into J214H, or even risking it solo with IDJM J214H, which kinda places you in a safe spot. Essentially, you explode the orb, then get into the teleports though we've outlined. There's no real benefit to them since they require an assist and meter for the same teleport mix-ups. And that pretty much concludes this video. As you can see, Janemba's pressure is a lot more than just its grabs, which most people think. Make sure to practice what you like and think would work well with your playstyle in order to master them, and don't forget to keep track of how your opponents interact. Remember that pressure always carries some degree of risk, so stick to Janemba's safest options when you're expecting reversals or anything else. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've learned something new. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more, like the video, and leave a comment down below. See y'all next time.